Hey there, everybody. This is Abby here, and we have another episode of Modern Day Unicorns. Today, I have Bilal with me, and we met quite a while ago when I moved to Dubai and was interested in playing basketball again. He has his very own league here, so I'm super excited to hear more about him and the awesome things that he's doing over here in the UAE. Bilal, welcome.
Thank you. How are you, Abby?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. So, we're going to get right into it. Can you please, tell us about yourself, where you're from, and what you're currently doing?
Sure. So as you mentioned, my name is Bilal. Currently, I'm the founder of a company called Soul Ball Above All. We run basketball leagues and we organize basketball competitions. We also have the academy side of it where we do coaching for kids ages 5 to 18 and also open to adults. I moved to the UAE around 2013, I would say, 2014, something like that. And yeah, and started Ball Above All here, similar concept to what I'm doing in Australia as well.
So that's great. I wanna take it back a little bit. So, you moved from Australia and you came to the UAE, and then you started an additional league. Can you take us back to maybe your history with the sport of basketball and how you have evolved into now being the owner of this league and also academy? So, where did that all get started?
Um, Pure passion, honestly. Always loved the sport. I started playing it at a later age. I think the first time I touched the basketball, I was like 14 when I started playing. So it's much later age than most people. I was into football before, and then made the transition to basketball. And probably at age around 21, 22, when I started taking it more seriously, which is really late, as a athlete. And I started traveling for it. Went to Lebanon to try and play there. Went to Italy and did a pro exposure camp there. So did a few things with it. When I first started, I wasn't good enough to make teams. I was still a skinny kid who doesn't have a lot of experience. Everything is just I learned through friends, watching TV, but not really being taught the right things and the basics. So yeah, I just followed my passion really and went for it from age about 21, 22, like I said. And no, it was not a option for me. I wanted something. I wanted to make sure I'm going to get it. So I played professionally a few years here and there. Played semi-professionally in Australia, and while in Australia, I was working also part time. And I decided to start Ball Above All in Australia because I felt there is a gap in the market for a high level competition that's not quite professional, but yet not quite amateur. So the players who have finished playing professionally and they're hitting late 20s, early 30s, they still want to play a high caliber competition. That was an absent product in the market. So I introduced back then a concept called United for All, because I wanted to unite all of the cultures, all of the people through basketball. And then later on, I did a topic, a university externally. I was doing the elective topic that kind of part of the prerequisite was to do a model on a business and what is your passion and what you could do. And I came up with a model for Ball Above All, based this very simple logo on that, and then yeah, ran away with it. So yeah, that's how it all started.
That's great. And it's wonderful to hear it stem from a passion and an interest in something you
Yep.
pursued wholeheartedly, not accepting no for answers, but then also providing a platform. I know myself, I started basketball late as well. It didn't have
Hmm.
as much, we'll call it success as you did with being able to pursue it full on and, even have the opportunity to play pro or semi pro. But having that platform to play competitively because I've been in situations to where it's just like, oh, we're gonna play basketball, and they're like clowning around on the court, and I don't
Hmm.
take basketball like lightly, so I was
Yep.
furious in that particular game because I'm like, I could have gotten hurt, you could have gotten hurt, but having a structured and like infrastructure to where you can play and be competitive and enjoy each other's company. That's great. Could you tell us a little bit about when you came to the UAE? What were some of your processes in being able to get this, started, and how did you market yourself to become, you're recognized across the UAE now. How did you get to that point?
Definitely wasn't easy. some people look at it and think it was easy, but nothing ever worth it is easy. First year I was in the UAE, I moved here. My wife got a job here, and she's working in HR. And I just finished playing professional ball, and I didn't have work at the time, so I thought, okay, I'll make the move also to UAE and find work here. And it proved very difficult. I also graduated in HR management, and I've started a degree in IT engineering when I was young, and I moved away from it and moved into HR management. So I have the bachelor degree that I'm educated in Australia, and I have experience when it comes to work from finance background, HR background as well. So I was looking for work for a good year, and nothing was coming up. And as you know, like, if you don't know people to connect you to the right jobs, it's really hard to put your foot in there. So after a year, I kind of formed few bonds, few friends here and there, and started a mini league with 4 or 5 teams that we used to run at the time in Safa, near Safa Park. There used to be a gym there, and yeah, and I started growing it slowly. And then after a year, I found work, and I was working full time and continued to do this on part time. And I managed to get a NLC letter from my employer, thankfully, that allowing me to continue to work in my passion, which was great. And don't know, but after a couple of years of working in that job, they decided to make the role I was in redundant. So I lost my job just before Ramadan, and it's really hard to do anything before Ramadan, finding work here. So I just decided to throw in the towel from a business perspective and go full force from ball above all perspective. Registered the company as a proper business, and yeah, started running it from there.
One of the things I like that you said was that you started slow. And I feel like that's something that people don't understand in this day and age. We
Yeah,
start something, we want it to do it immediately, especially with social media. We want the attention, the likes, and everything. And I feel like we have, or are losing, or have lost the capacity to understand that things take about, 3 to 5 years to really take traction.
yeah,
How long did it take for you? I mean, you said you were doing it for a couple of years and you were working before
yeah.
you were kind of faced with the decision to move forward. But how many years do you think it took you to really, well, yeah, how many years did it take you till you lost that job and was like, okay, now I have to make it
Yeah,
happen? And
yeah.
then from that point, when did you get comfortable?
So, like I said, I started the concept of Ball Above All in Australia first in 2002. So it goes way, way, way back, and that was until this day we still run it, but a purely community-based competition. It's not a business per se; it's just giving back to the community. So whatever funds that we get from it, we put back into the competition, into the community. So that gave me a lot of experience. So when I came here to the UAE and I started setting it up, I didn't find it hard to set up because I've already had the experience in the past. But from the experience of it becoming a success, it definitely took around 4 years before I felt like, okay, this can go somewhere if I do it the right way. So yeah, most businesses, most CEOs, most companies, when they employ people, they always ask, "What's your 5-year plan?" Because they understand it takes 5 years for you to do something worth it in the company you're in or in the work that you're in. And funny enough, just the other week, I can't remember the name of the person, so I don't want to take credit for it, but I really can't remember the name of the person. They quoted them something saying that the quickest way to get to your destination is to do something slowly. So I
Mm.
found that interesting because it's not, you don't hear that very much. And as you said, you have to go slow. If you just jump steps, you're gonna fall. You have to take it step by step. Make sure you build a good foundation. So for example, now Ball Above All, we have a good product that I've built step by step, year by year, improved on it. Each season, I made sure I keep improving it season by season until I kind of reached a certain level now, which I feel myself have brought it up to that level. And as you know, the recent partnership we had with Soul DXB became Soul Ball Above All. That's also another step that I look to shoot the sport into a stratosphere, as they say, try to build another level. From my side, I tried as much as I can to handle it all by myself, but then it comes to a stage where you need help. And it's nothing better than surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals that can help you reach that goal.
And that's wonderful. Congratulations on that. If you could explain to our viewers and our listeners what Soul DXB is. I know it's a humongous event that takes place
Mm.
here, so that they can understand the magnitude of this partnership.
Sure. So Soldi XP itself, they do many things during the year. They do many events. They're an actual agency that people deal with, like artists and musicians, and even other events that might be coming to Dubai. They get Soldi XP on board to organize things for them. But they got very famous, you could say, and well known in Dubai by the Soldi XB Carnival that runs yearly at the end of the year. And it's a 3 day carnival that they started a while back before I even came on the scene. And I happened to know one of the founders when I came here, and we decided to collab and include the element of basketball in it. But Soldi XP, in a nutshell, you can say it's a carnival that promotes urban youth in the region, not just in the UAE, in the entire region. So they get a lot of artists from overseas, a lot of teams now approaching us to join also. And the event attracts close to, if I'm not wrong, about 35,000 people per year that come to the event. So yeah, like you said, the magnitude of it is really big. They work with a very professional team, and they are very professional as well. And then their vision is aligned with my vision when it comes to basketball. So that's why I thought it's a really good I guess, way to join ventures together so we can work together on the common goal and hopefully achieve it quicker than just me doing it alone.
And one of the important things is that recognizing that you can only take it so far by yourself.
Yeah.
So there is always potentially going to be an opportunity, but as long as you know where you're heading and the type of work that you want to produce, when you can align yourself with other companies or individuals that have that same concept or thought process,
Yeah.
it's great to be able to utilize and join your resources together to continue to provide. I know you have a huge community aspect, so why wouldn't you want to make a better opportunity to provide this for more people or expand it into different places. So the next
Absolutely.
question I want to ask is, how are you managing this company into on two different continents, two different
Yeah,
countries?
yeah. Well, doing it on one side is really hard, but doing it on two is definitely hard as well. You deal with all kind of people, all kind of backgrounds. It's definitely an eye-opening experience, and I've always joked about it from a perspective of work. If someone is interviewing someone, they should put them on the basketball court and see how they behave before they're hiring them, because then you'll really know the true personality of the person. But back to your question, when I did the Australian League, I had a friend that was helping me there, and we grew it. You could say together, we grew it together there. And as I started moving away and traveling for basketball and coming back, he kept the work going. And then now it's pretty much him organizing everything on the ground, and anything behind the scenes, such as website or social media or the business setups, everything like that is done by me. So yeah, I've got people obviously that I can work with and trust that they are handling that, even though I'm not over there. And before COVID, I used to travel to Australia like 2 or 3 times, so we can stay in touch and yeah, try to help whatever I can there. But definitely on floor, we've got people there that are more than helpful and very trustworthy to work with. And I'm the type of person who don't really open up to everybody. I need to have people I work with that I trust. If I don't trust you, I guess most people are the same way. But yeah, with me, I'm very particular. I have to trust people to work with them.
Mm.
Mm.
So you mentioned something. It is the elephant in everybody's room, and that is COVID. COVID definitely put a stop in life in general. How were you able to manage, or what did you do during COVID, and how did you build the company, the league back up throughout this 2-year process where it was practically impossible at one
Mm.
point in time to have games?
Well, we had a lot of support from the government. Obviously, they have awesome guidance. Dubai Sports Council, the Ministry of Sports, the Federation, they have awesome guidelines of what to do, how to practice sports in a safe way. So we made sure to follow this very strictly. And even until now, even though they allowed people to walk outside with options of mask or no mask, the sport itself, you still required to wear a mask indoors. The issue is that not everyone applies it. So when they come to our venue, we apply it very strictly. Some people may take issues with it, but we make sure we follow it as strictly as possible. We're always on people's cases. Now, whenever someone sees me, it's the guy who tells me to wear the mask, you know. Exactly, they see me on the street, they put the mask up. I was like, no, no, it's not my problem here, you know. So yeah, just follow the guidelines, trust the government that you're working with as well. And then when it comes to survival of the business, I guess what really gave us, uh, I guess, the survival mode is I was doing a lot of the work by myself. So when COVID hit, the only person that got truly affected is myself, you know. So I had to take it on the chin and just wait it up like everyone did. And once things were ready and were able to start operating again, I was ready to pounce. It was definitely hard because I'm the type who always want to plan ahead. I'm wondering what's the next challenge, what can I do. So in COVID, we didn't really have, or we had a vision, but we weren't able to say when this vision will be implemented or when we can start work even. So that definitely made it really hard from that perspective. But yeah, we survived it, and glad to see things are kind of becoming more and more back to normal, and hopefully only good things coming from here.
How long did it take people to, want to come back? And I know some people are probably apprehensive from playing, but I feel like you're full on again now.
Yep.
But what was that transition like with people like, oh, we're playing again? Did you
Yeah,
get like
yeah.
a rush of people who wanted to play, or was it slow?
I think it just took time for people to be educated about the new virus. Anything that comes new, people are not aware of, they fear. And then as they climatize with it and they realize where it is and they've dealt with different side effects, it starts becoming more of a normalcy in a way. But yeah, I would say it took us after opening, after Dubai Sports Council and the government allowed us to go back to sports. It took us a couple of seasons to come back to some form of normality. I would say some form because even now we're still not 100% back to normal. So it's still some form of normality. But the open-mindedness of players and athletes and things like this, I would say it took 2 seasons for it to come back.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I want to transition a little bit to talk about your academy.
Yeah.
Could you tell us more about why you started the academy and what some of your goals are for the children that you're influencing these days?
Sure, sure. So I started the academy probably around 4 years after the leagues, and the reason I started after the leagues because I noticed in Dubai there's a lot of academies. Like I don't know, I would say if I number out of there, I'll say a few hundred. But I also noticed that everyone is being coached, everyone is playing, training, but for what exactly? I don't see the kids playing, you know. So my aim was to start the league first, so this way I can build the adult community, build the youth community, which we have done now with the leagues. We run the leagues from ages 8 till 40 plus, and then I started the academy. This way I can have a kind of a complete program and also the complete delivery of the game of basketball. As you know, you start when you're young, you want to practice, you want to improve, you want to implement these skills that you learned in games time situation. You want to look forward to another league after this league finishes from youth perspective. If you're under 10, under 12, where do you go from here? So that's what I thought about the program, being able to transition kids from the game that they love, they're being taught how to play, to a basketball program where you can actually compete in games as under 18 and as over 18. And then there is also the Ball Above All Elite program where we have participated in the Vice President Cup of the UAE and we made history by coming runners up. We lost by 1 point and that opened doors to the expats to play in the UAE League as well. So yeah, it kind of made, like you said, here in the UAE a more complete way to train, play, and have a vision as a child or as a parent of where you're going to go if you're taking the sport seriously.
And one of the other things that I know that you offer is year-round access to the sport.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know that I've been an educator as well, and the season in the school that I was at was super short. It was like 8 to 10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so with your program having a year-round option, or at least a few different seasons throughout the year, will allow the students to be able to practice more, to play more, which is critical, because I think I was so frustrated when my season was over with my girls, because we had so much potential and
Yeah,
growth that we could do, and it's just like I have to wait a full year to get them back on the court, because these the children out here are multi-sport children. They're doing everything:
absolutely.
skiing,
Yeah,
basketball, football. And so I appreciate the fact that you give them an opportunity to have access to the sport, more than 10 weeks out of the year. So thank
yeah.
you for that.
Yeah, and also that helps us from that perspective. We get to know the kids, we get to know our participants more. You form more of a bond as a community when you're with them throughout the year, you know. And then the next step for me is hopefully when COVID relaxes a bit, the measures overseas, is to start traveling overseas, seeing kids that have potential to gain scholarships through my connections. We have connections in the States, in Europe, in Australia. So we can put people in different schools overseas, or people from overseas maybe coming to Dubai eventually to do some study here under certain scholarship programs to do with sports. So yeah, connecting the dots everywhere we went, really.
That's awesome. And I would love to see athletics in Dubai, especially when it comes to student athletes, just improve. Being from the States and understanding that when people go to high school or secondary school, like those are the opportune times for them to be, recognized.
Yep,
And looking forward to the UAE having those opportunities for scouts to want to come over here and see these students
absolutely,
thriving on their
absolutely.
various courts and fields, and giving them opportunities to go and study, and play for D1, D2, Division 1, Division 2 things from here.
Hmm.
I know some students go back home in order to get that recognition and to get that playing time, but the day that it starts happening here, and I feel like it's definitely going to happen with you, and I look forward to that a lot.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, definitely, we're working towards that, and that's the goal. Like, give people opportunities. Like myself, growing up, I had to learn these things by myself. So I'm happy to facilitate to kids now. Some people, or agencies, or schools are surprised when I tell them, like, I don't want anything. Just if the kid's good, give them a try. And they're like, oh, really? Like, you don't want a commission? I was like, no, I don't want a commission. Just give him or give her the chance to play. They're decent enough to play. Offer a scholarship, whichever way you can help. Because I didn't get this help growing up, so I'm happy to kind of give it and not pave, I guess, build these kids up in the right way and lead them in the right direction.
Now, we're similar in that, right? I've always said to myself, like, I could have learned faster what I had to teach myself.
Yeah, definitely,
Um,
definitely.
and I'm happy for what I was able to, accomplish with what I have. But having somebody or individuals or even leagues or opportunities where you're taught these things and you're not having to scour the internet, or I think I literally like went to Walmart in the States and bought a basketball and just stayed in my garage until I figured it out.
Yeah.
It
Well,
like basketball happened to
when
me.
I approached teams or the national team in Lebanon, when I approached him initially, there was no like internet properly. It was still on dial-up. So it was very bad. I had to videotape myself, send it through registered mail for it to get there. You couldn't share it online. It was really, really like at that kind of age. So I went above and beyond to try to get to the right people. To reach. So now I definitely. Appreciate this new age where things are like would have been much easier if I can just click a button and send my highlight somewhere, and know someone if he read it or received it or not. So yeah, definitely.
Mercy. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, I want to thank you for the time that you spent with us so far.
thank you.
And before I let you go, I would love for you to share three more tips, since you've done so much already, on for people who are just looking for inspiration, or maybe looking to start something that they're unsure about, or maybe they're a person who's trying to develop the attitude of not accepting no for an answer. But what are three tips that you would share with our audience today?
Sure. Number one, I would say surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Uh, in anything you do in life, you're gonna say, "I want to go to the moon." People are gonna say, "No, you can't." But if you have people around you that believe that you can or believe that they can, then you'll find yourself kind of positively charged towards there, because they have the same mindset as you and they empower you. They don't put you down. So definitely surround yourself by like-minded individuals. That's the first tip from my side. Second tip is don't take that as an answer. Continue to work hard. If you believe in yourself and you truly have the passion towards something that you want to do in life, just don't give up. Just keep at it. Because even though, like, for example, myself, I wanted to play pro at the early age when I was like in my 20s, and I couldn't make it. But eventually I achieved that when I turned 30. That's my first pro game that I played. And being there and playing, even though it wasn't a long career, but being there and playing at that level proved to myself, like, okay, all these years, all these naysayers, they really just didn't know, you know. And I made it. I came in. I played well. And then in Australia, when I played semi-pro as well, it's a very high level semi-pro comparing to the regions pro. So I was definitely proud of what I achieved. But then God paved the way for me and showed me, like, all of the struggles that I've been through led me to something even greater, which is for me now is Soul Ball Above All, which I'm showing the way to many kids, many players, and yeah, helping to serve the community when it comes to the sports. So definitely, you know, persevere and keep going. And tip number 3 and the last one, it's not gonna be easy. So you're gonna go through struggles, you're gonna feel really down, you're gonna feel like you're about to give up, and that's when you really get tested, and really that's when you know if you truly love something and passionate about it or not. So stay strong, keep your head up, and definitely work towards your goal, and slowly but surely you will get there. That's the 3 tips that I have.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all of that. For anybody that is listening, make sure you play this back over and over again to receive the encouragement that you need to keep moving forward day by day. It's not going to be easy, but it is literally one step at a time, one email at a time, one paragraph at a time, one sentence, whatever it is that you're going for. Back, what's the story? The tortoise and the hare. It's like slow and steady wins the race. So if we speed too much, we'll miss the opportunities that we have to learn along the
Yeah.
way, and we'll have to repeat it. And I think that's more frustrating. Well, once again, thank you so much for everything that you've shared. Please use this opportunity to let everybody know all of the places and spaces that they can follow you, find you, support you,
Yeah.
enroll, play, all these different things.
Sure, sure. So, Abi, we have a Instagram channel and social media channel under SBAA Sports, which is Soul Ball Above All Sports, basically. They can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, and so on. And also, we're giving a special opportunity to any girl out there that's under the age of 19 to get 1 month free training in our academy. Whether it's once a week, twice a week, or 3 times a week, will be absolutely free for 1 month. So hopefully that will encourage them to come and join. Doesn't matter what their financial situation is, or as long as they like the sport, they're welcome to come in for 1 month and try us.
And that's amazing. Women's sports, young ladies sports, girls sports has a special place in my heart, and I think it's very commendable what you're doing to be able to extend that to our young ladies. So definitely, to all of our listeners, if you are in the UAE region or in Dubai and you have a young lady that's interested in basketball or wanting to be active, take advantage of this opportunity, because it is truly amazing to have some amazing coaches that have played professionally, semi-professionally, are really passionate about the sport, and so don't miss out on that opportunity. So yes, if you are a unicorn, you know anybody that is a unicorn, I'd love to have a conversation with them. So feel free to leave a comment or DM me. And until next time, oh, you know what? Again, you can follow us on Modern Day Unicorns on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. But thank you so much for listening, and we will check you soon.